Hi everybody. This is kind of a test video, even though I'm going to publish it. I changed some lighting in my room, so I was really hoping that this one will work out better. Again, I'm still working on the steampunk, Softly Steampunk, and so I thought, craft along with me, experimenting, obviously, and I wanted to show you this. I had a bunch of pages already printed out. I can see a shadow, but that's me, so. I had a bunch of pages printed out that they're like test pages. They turned out okay, but I did ultimately change the final pages, but I didn't want to throw out the test pages, so I'm using them as background papers and stuff like that. So I wanted to show you like something like this, where I intend to use that for journaling, even though there's a pattern on it. I did write on it. So this is the same paper. It's actually the bottom part of this cut off. And I printed it. I used two different inks. So this is the, what do you call that? Sharpie. And this is just a plain ballpoint pen. Now, if you turn it over, you can see the Sharpie. So it does bleed through. I use a 24-pound weight photo paper, and like I've said before, photo paper will suck in the ink. That's what it's intended to do, so I don't recommend a Sharpie unless, there's like a double page where, like if I wrote on this, there's also going to be paper on this plus this paper. It won't show through in that case. But if it's just the single sheet, then yes, it will. But you can see that it still shows up really nicely with the ballpoint pen. If I hold it up a little higher, so you can tell. Like, it's totally easy to read. Anyway, I wanted to show you that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is this paper is not super heavy, but it's sturdy enough to sew into a signature. Now, I mount a lot of things on this kind of weight paper. I've done it two different ways. I've done it where I've glued the back. Now, because this paper is kind of thin, you do get sort of a ripple effect. It doesn't show on the other side because, again, I put another piece of paper. However, I thought I would go ahead and do tape. So that's what I've done on this side. Is I've taped this down. There's no ripples. It looks really great. And all I do is something like this, where I won't tape the entire thing, because that's kind of a waste of tape. But I also don't like the bubbling in between. So I just do a dab of glue in between the tape, and then it sticks it down nice and flat, and you don't get the ripples. So, another little thing I've discovered. Which you probably already know. I'm just a little slow. Okay, so what I'm working on is, this is the last flap. I am almost done, you guys. I'm so excited to be done with this. Anyway, what I intend to do with this is make this a lift. But I don't want to go ahead and stick all that down because I might need this to be plain, if you follow my drift. Like sometimes I lay things down like this that are bubbly, and then I go and try and tape on the opposite side of it, and I have difficulty. Well, I'm not going to do that this time. So this will go under here. I just have to decide what to put on this side. And I have this one. I really like this paper. And I like the owl. But not a whole lot of journaling going on there, and if I put the owl on this side, then I can't add any corner pieces. What I could do is cut the owl out, do a different page. Like, see, this was one I had done, and I did it too dark, so that doesn't work for me. I do have some of this left over though, which I could cut down. Maybe I'll do that again. I'm trying to use up all my pages, I start on one thing, I cut it up, and I only use part of it, and then I still have leftovers, which really annoys me. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you This will be in the store as a freebie. Just type in free. All my free stuff comes up. I was just fooling around with this. I wanted some fingers, but the one that I had printed, I don't even know what I did with it, but it's like the sheet itself I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know what I did with it, but it was really way too big, and I thought, you know, it's just easy just to go ahead and do this. Now, I print stuff like this on a little bit heavier paper. Like, this is a 32-pound weight, so it's a little bit thicker than my pages. I don't know, just gives it a little bit more body when I'm cutting things out. Anyway, like I said, it will be in the store as a freebie, so you go ahead and check that out. What else was I gonna look at here? Oh, I could do this. Ooh, maybe I'll do this one. I kind of like that. Let's get that out and see. My scissors feel sticky. I don't know why I don't cut sticky stuff with these. I don't know why it feels sticky. If you get anything like that, if you have one of these eraser thingies, if you don't have that, the vinyl ones work really nice too, the white ones, and I just, you know, erase basically. It does lift the stickiness off your blades. Just be really careful you don't cut yourself. I've done that a couple times. Yeah, it looks like there's a little stickiness right there. I also use a really fine grit paper, really fine though, and it kind of sharpens up your scissors a little bit too. And you don't have to cut it, just rub it along your blade. That'll sharpen it up a little bit. Okay. I don't know how that got on there, but anyway, it did. That's better. Okay, just gonna roughly cut this so I have less to cut out. And I don't think I'm gonna add this part. It's too difficult to cut out, so keep that for something, maybe. So if you don't mind me chatting away, we finally have the plans for our deck drawn out professionally. My niece's boyfriend is a draftsman, and he did it for us, which was super, super nice of him. He saved us a pile of money. I mean, we still paid him, but he didn't charge us what other people would charge us. And so now my husband is on the phone trying to find an engineer who I guess they look over the drawings and they do their calculations and they determine whether it's structurally sound to build or if you have to make any changes. And then they call it red sealing it. It's basically a stamp of approval. And then once that's done, then we can take it to the city and apply for the permit. And I have been told that that could take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. So, yep, not going to get my deck before the good weather goes away. But as long as I get it, I don't at this point care. I think I told you the French doors are in. My husband has put the molding around the outside. Inside we didn't do the molding yet because we're going to paint the kitchen. And it's just easier. I said, why tape up all the new molding if there's no molding on there? Let's just paint. And that's the only molding actually in the kitchen, is just around the French door. So make life a little bit easier. That's the worst part. I like painting. I hate the prep work. I cannot stand taping. It's boring. But I like painting. He did paint the ceiling, so that's done. We've switched all our lights to LEDs in the kitchen, and it makes such a big difference the task lighting. That's what I've put in all my, in here. This is LED, and I got the daylight bulb so that, you know, it would be like I was sitting outside. If there's any background noise, I have my bedroom, well, my craft room window open. It's still quite warm. But if I turn the ceiling fan on, then you get this weird shadowing when I'm filming. So I decided not to do that. And hopefully it won't be too noisy outside. It is a Monday, so a lot of people are at work. And not cutting their lawns or anything like that. Oh, we went to this Rib Fest in Langley. I'd never been before. I was so out of it as far as my community goes. I'm like, I didn't know they did that. But now that I'm retired, it's a different story. Well, not so much me, because I've been retired for 2.5 years now. But, you know, doing anything with my husband, yeah, that just didn't happen because he was always working. And now that he's retired, oh, and we just got back from Vancouver Island. Went to Victoria for 4 days, which was wonderful because, well, we love the island. Plus, it was free. I used my points. So we stayed at a bed and breakfast that I stayed at years ago with a girlfriend. We went for a girls' weekend and stayed at this place, which was more affordable. It was a little cheaper back then. Plus, I'm just paying for me. But, you know, when you go as a couple, a lot more money. And Victoria, if anybody's been there, it's smoking expensive over there. But we love the island. And we had the points, so we stayed. It's called the Dashwood Manor. And it's a beautiful old house built in 1912. And nobody lives in it. It's just strictly a bed and breakfast. I guess the fella that built it, very prominent man in Victoria at the time, businessman, put a lot of money into the city. And anyway, he died really, really young. I think he was 52 or something like that. And his widow discovered that he had so many projects on the go in the city. Like, he bought a lot of property and he planned on developing, and she just didn't want to cancel all of those apparently, and so she sold the house. And at one point it was an apartment building, and then I think these are the third owners for the bed and breakfast. When we had stayed, my friend and I, they didn't have a dining room. The downstairs was a big suite, which of course we couldn't afford to stay in. But they converted that suite. They got rid of the suite and made it a proper bed and breakfast. I mean, when we stayed, we ended up with a croissant for breakfast. That was breakfast. I was like, wow, you know, wasn't impressed with that. But it's, you know, it's in a cute little neighborhood outside of Victoria. It's by Beacon Hill Park. It's actually right on the ocean. And, you know, they've got this cute little village, which is pretty neat. So my husband and I walked it quite a bit. We went up to Fort Rod, which is like from World War I. And they have a lighthouse up there too. I was really more interested in the lighthouse, but we did walk through all of where they still have the guns set up, and I mean, they're not active obviously, but it was interesting. And the lighthouse was really pretty. So you got to go in, and they've kind of turned it into a museum. I guess they stopped using lighthouse keepers. I think it was 1952 was when they got rid of that. And I think my husband's going to open my door in a second. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. I hear him walking around out there. Anyway, yeah, it was cool. They had it set up as a museum, and Got some really pretty pictures. It was beautiful weather. So that was nice. And then when we got back the next day, we went to that rib fest with my brother and his wife. And yeah, so kind of didn't do keto, you guys, for like almost a week, which I was really feeling it, I tell you. When you get used to keto, it's hard to go back. But I'm back on track again. I think you need a break every now and then. So hopefully things will start to move again once I'm back in ketosis. Right now I'm not. It takes me a few days to get back into ketosis, but that's good. I still had a good time and I don't feel guilty at all. You know, I've been so good and I'm down 32 pounds. My husband's down 135 pounds. I mean, he's doing amazing. I think he's pretty much there. And now it's just toning. And, you know, when you have that much weight, like we both have over 100 pounds we had to lose, yeah, your body just sags. But, you know, at this point in my life, I don't care. If I look good in clothes, I don't care if my body's saggy. You know, I'm almost 60 years old, so yeah, that's what happens when you get older. But, like I say, this has been a lifestyle change for us, and we plan on staying keto. But every now and then, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. I hope everybody's had a wonderful summer. Mine has just been really nice. Bittersweet, you know, knowing that I'm not going back to Hawaii next year, but that's okay. I'll be home to enjoy my deck, which hopefully will be built by then. It should be. I'm confident it will be. Unless the city decides to get real sticky and make us do more things. There is the possibility that we might have to get an arborist report done. We have a lot of trees in the backyard, and they just want to know that the structure isn't going to be close to it, even though Joey, who's kind of my nephew-in-law, he included all the trees in the drawing, and he put everything in it, so they shouldn't have any complaints. But, you know, it is the city. Government people. Sometimes, yeah, they just want to be contrary, I guess. I don't know. And every time we go to do something, you either can't get them on the phone, or you leave messages and they don't return them. And so, you know, it's always a stall job for everything. It's crazy. Then our siding, yay, a friend of mine is doing it. He has a siding business, and we're getting the hardy board. My husband really wanted the hardy board, so I know it's more money, but we'll never have to do it again. And I'm pretty sure the people who buy the house will never have to do it again. I'm not moving, but, you know, circumstances change for people. So at some point, we'll have to downsize, I guess. We don't live in a big house, but it is 2 floors. And like I said, not getting any younger. So we'll see. But for now, we want to do it as if we were going to live here another 30 years. Who knows? Maybe we will. And the hardy board, I mean, it's just awesome stuff. My brother put it on his house years ago, and it still looks fantastic. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Okay, that's going on the other side. Like so. That's going in front of it. This is going to go here. And I want this. I'm thinking maybe I'll cut some of that off. Would it look funny? Yeah, it would. So I think, oh, he's showering. Hear the water. What if I do it like, no, that looks dumb. I don't want it in the center. I hate centering things. think I will put it here. Maybe I'll just leave a little bit. I might cut both sides off. That would balance it. Maybe I will. Here we go. I'm doing it. I'm gonna go in line with the whatever that's called. Gear. Just came to me. Okay, there it is. Ah, perfect. Yeah, that looks better. Now, I think I am going to cover it in embossing powder, though. I think that'll make it a little bit more stable. Thicken it up. Let's get that out of the way. And my gold. This. And paper. Oh, I did this one. You've probably seen it in the corner. And I did, it's got like 3 layers of paint, and then I did wax on it, because every time I did something I didn't like the color, so I just kept adding to it. And then finally, I did a little bit of the Frontage embossing enamel by Stampendous. See, it's called Frontage. I don't know if you could read that. F-R-A-N-T-A-G-E. Frontage. Aged taupe is what I used. And then this is just a leftover piece of a glassine bag that I cut off. And I stamped on it. And I did stamp it in the Versa Fine, but it wasn't drying. So I just dipped it in the clear, and then, yeah. So if you're finding things aren't drying on you, do that. And then you don't have a problem. It won't smudge, and it looks good. Then I just slid it through and glued it on the back and added... I used the Ranger's... I bought this embossing pen by Ranger, and I just put it on spots that I wanted the frontage. And then when you do the frontage, you put it on a piece of paper like this, so you can see some of it's melted on the paper. Put it like that, then take your heat gun and go from underneath, and just keep moving the heat gun around. Now you could potentially smell smoke. But it's the paper, it's not your image that's going to ruin. But it's to prevent it from blowing all over the place, because Frontage has heavy parts to it. I don't know if that'll show. Let me see if I get that off. Probably not. Nah, it's not going to come off. Oh, maybe. No. Here, let me put some in the cap and I'll show you. Okay. Oh, is that not going to show? Where's my light? There. I don't know if you can tell, but there are powdery bits as well as heavy bits. And there's several different colors in it to make it this taupey color. So the the light bits, like the powdery bits, they'll stick really well to the ink, the embossing ink, but the heavy bits don't. So you want to make sure that it's really saturated, like you've got a lot of this stuff on there. Sprinkle it on, and then I take another piece of paper and I push it down. And then you get rid of what's fallen, lay it on top, and blow from underneath. Once you see it starting to melt, then you can go from the top down to get it to move quicker. Otherwise, it takes a while. But I recommend, if you don't have the slower one, like this one, I know for newbies, they might not know. Now, this is the Ranger's one. Now, see how quiet that is? And it's not super powerful, but it gets hot, gets really hot. When I'm embossing, this one is the one I use. So it's faster and it gets just as hot as the other quickly. This one's a Paper Studio. There's tons of these out there, but I use both. Now I use the slower one when I'm doing this because I don't want it to, you know, burn my paper like immediately. Anyway, that's that. I know, I digress. I always digress. You should know this. Okay, I have to get rid of this stuff. Okay. And then I'm going to put some ink on this. Okay. Here's my lid. And then get rid of that. Changed my craft room all around too, you guys. I like it a lot better, although now I'm not under the window. I think I told you that before. Rid of that. Okay. Yeah, this is where I would use the faster one. Now I can do this right against here because this holds heat to 500 degrees. So when you're starting embossing, you start until you just see it turn, and then you keep moving. Otherwise you will burn your image. And then don't touch it right away because it takes just a couple seconds to cool off. Otherwise you're going to have fingerprints in there. Let's get this out of the way. See, that looks way better, shiny. I like it shiny. And okay, let's move this back. So I am going to put this here, but I want to stick everything down. So now this is where I'm going to use some tape because it's a big amount and I don't, by the time you move your glue around, it's already drying in spots. So yeah, I tend to try and tape if I'm not tucking anything in. Now, if I was tucking things in, I know I've always told you use glue because the tape edges always stay sticky. But if you really want to use tape, and I did that on one spot, so I use tape along here. Then, so my tape would be here, then I do a line of glue just in front of the tape. So, you know, it's going to stay, that's going to keep it from anything jamming into that glue, and then you're not moving it. Tape, I mean, not glue. So for pockets or tuck spots or anything like that. Generally, you know, pockets and tuck spots are small enough that you don't need to use tape. Oh, I'm finding my brain is wandering. That's what happens when you've got too much on the go. I got back from holidays and totally forgot to say I was away, and so I had orders to fulfill right away. I had emails to answer, and yeah, requests, and I'm going to be quite busy, it seems. I was really hoping to start designing another kit or an add-on to the Graceful Women, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to. I really want to make a journal with that kit, but I have something else to make for somebody before that. So, yeah, I'm going to be busy. You know, some things I just can't say no to. I almost feel guilty if I say no. Usually I absolutely do not take commissions because I'm busy. But this was from somebody I couldn't say no to. And so my next project will be at the same time as Graceful Women. I will work on one day and one another day. It's the only way I can get things done and still, you know, show you guys some stuff, right? I don't want to just disappear again, and because summer's pretty much over for me now. We're not planning any more trips. I was going to go see Vintage Moss on Vancouver Island next month, but I just can't afford it, you know. That trip to go see my mom was an unexpected trip, and it was a big expense. And then with the renos, it's, I mean, if any of you renoed, I know a lot of you have, because you've been leaving me comments about it. You know how expensive it is, and you start out with a budget. You never end up on that budget. And yeah, and we're both on a fixed income now with retiring. My husband's actually taken on a part-time job, which makes me feel guilty because, I don't know, I just do. Feel like I should be contributing more. Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. We will survive. Okay, so that's going to go here. Now, when you're doing this gluing, you want to take your tape off first, because the glue will dry fast and you haven't taken the tape off yet. And if you don't have nails like I do, just use your pokey tool. My nails are thin, so I can grab it pretty easy. Okay. And then try not to put your fingers on the tape as much as possible. You leave oils behind, and then you don't have that adhesion. So then, if you're unsure of the placement, go backwards. You know, sort of, I do this, just sort of give myself, okay, I know where I want it now. And then turn it over. And guaranteed I'll get it crooked, but I will do my best. And then I just do this to smush the glue down and burnish the tape. Okay. Then we're going to do this side. So again, take your tape off. Oh, what happened there? Ah. Just lift that and squish that down. There we go. Okay. So you can see I'm not using much glue. Just so you don't get bubbles. Okay. And again, let's see. Oh, this one's up higher. Okay. if you're wondering about the tape that I use, this is what I use. Now, I'm in BC, Canada. I get this at my local craft store, and it's a honkin' big. Well, you saw how big it is. That's a lot of tape. And compared to the Sukwang, which is, what do you guys call it in the States? Anyway, the expensive one. This was $7.95 Canadian, and that's pretty much double the amount of tape for the same price. So it works good. I've been using it for over a year now, and it works quite well. Okay, so now this I was going to do a little bit different, and I'm going to do a flip up, so I'm gonna score it. You know, should I score it or should I add a hang on. Did I have any of that paper left? I think I did. That's that paper. Yeah, that goes. Sort of, kind of. Just checking my recycle bin here. Yeah, I think I'll use that. Yeah, that'll work. It's the right length. Okay, just cut this down. Now, let's cut this part off. Now, if I haven't had you in frame, I apologize. I am notorious for not looking at the camera to see where I'm at. I do about an inch. Well, let's do less than that. 1 3/4 should give me a nice hinge without being too bulky. I mean, I meant 3/4 of an inch, not 1 3/4. Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead and excuse me. So the part that you do not want to show, you're going to put right sides together. So sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. As far as scoring it goes when it's small like that. Okay. And the easiest way to do it, you know, if you're terrible at math, like I'm not good at in my head math, but visually I can see it, so that's centered. But when you're scoring, you have issues, right? Because, okay, that should have been more centered there. Because now that's not going to be even. Let's try that. So then right sides together. I mean, you can do it by hand. It's not a huge deal if you don't have a scoreboard. You can't afford the big one. The small one is so handy. It's cheaper. Okay. So that's going to go on the back of this. And I'm going to ink it first. As you will see the top of this. Oh, I got my mother's ring resized. I was so excited. My mother had really large hands. She took after my grandfather. My grandfather used to be a professional football player in his day when they wore the leather hats. And he had massive hands. And my mother inherited those. And I inherited my dad's mother's hands, I guess. She was tiny like me. Anyway, I had to get it sized, and so I did that, and we have this guy older gentleman who used to have his own jewelry store in the New Westminster Quay, and I guess the rents all went up like ridiculously high after they had, I guess they had done some work or something. I never go there, it's too far away. I don't like a lot of crowds anyway. But my husband's aunt lives in New West, so his mom used to go there a lot. And anyway, they stayed friends with this fella because I guess they did a lot of business with him. Because it's a big family. My husband's side of the family, even though he's an only child, their family's big. Now, what did I do with my scissors? Oh, I put them back. What do you know? Anyway, long story, I know. Rambling. But they've stayed in contact with this fella. And he does do repairs from his home. And very reasonable. It cost me $20. Well, if I was going to get it, I bought a ring. Well, I bought this ring when we were in Hawaii. And it was too big. So I needed it sized. So I went into a jeweler's to ask, and they wanted $45 US. And that translates into over $50 Canadian for sizing. And I thought, at the time, it was kind of stupid because I thought, well, why don't I just take it back to the store I bought it from and maybe they'll do it for free, which they did, which was awesome. I'm glad I didn't just say, oh, well, okay, can you do it? But, you know, knowing what a jewelry store would have cost me while I was there, I was so glad I didn't get it done and waited till I got home. Well, I didn't take this ring anyway, so I couldn't have got it. This was from Hawaii originally. My mother and I went in 1979, which is when I graduated high school, and that was my gift to myself. I worked 2 years making $4 an hour cleaning offices for my dad, who had a cleaning business. Worst job I've ever had in my life. Cleaning toilets and ashtrays, and yeah, it was gross. But, you know, I was determined to go to Hawaii when I graduated. And I was supposed to go with with 2 other girls from school, and they both bailed on me. So, you know, I scrubbed a lot of stinky ashtrays for 2 years. There was no way I wasn't going. And so last minute, because I was going to go by myself, I thought, I don't care, I'm going. Of course, everybody's like, no, you can't go by yourself. Honestly, Hawaii is probably one of the safest cities you can go to on your own. But I was 18. And everybody's freaking out. So I asked my mother last minute. I said, do you want to go to Hawaii with me? And she just happened to have had the money saved. My dad was kind of how can I say this politely? Tight with the money. Let's say that. He would give my mother some money and say, that's all you get. And out of that, you have to get the groceries, buy the kids' clothes, and if there was anything left over, you know, she would buy herself some clothes, or fabric more than likely, make her own clothes. And anyway, yeah, it was not a happy home, let's just say that. But she, out of that money, she was so frugal, my mother. Just amazing. She always amazed me. You know, when my parents split up, that she actually taught herself how to type using my high school books, taught herself how to type, took her GED, and graduated, because she left school when she was, I think, grade 9. She got married when she was 18, and, you know, started having babies pretty much right away, and anyway, she is an amazing woman. She's not gone yet, but, you know, the mother that I knew is gone. She's just not there anymore in her head, and it's very sad. But anyway, she taught me a lot. Very determined woman. Smart woman, too. I'm just thinking I'm backing this with something a little heavier, just so it stops curling. Is my thinking here, that I will glue that on there. Just in the center part, you know, not there. So what was I saying? I don't remember. But, oh yeah, with Hawaii. She did go with me. It was one of the best trips I've ever had. She was hilarious. My mom has a fantastic sense of humor. And she never drank. And all the time I was growing up, my mother never, ever drank. My dad was a drinker. And my mother's mother was an alcoholic. So, you know, she just never drank. I guess my dad drank enough for both of them. And don't get me wrong, my dad was absolutely a hilarious guy. And he wasn't an alcoholic, he just drank. But he was one of those, you know how you get those alcoholics who are just mean? That wasn't him. He was hilarious. People loved him. He just kind of sucked at being a husband, that's all. Anyway, and don't leave any comments on this. I don't expect sympathy. I mean, it's long gone. My dad's been gone a lot of years, and I got over it a long, long time ago. And, you know, if my mother could forgive him, then certainly I can too. It's just, it's what it is, you know. He was who he was. I mean, at times, I've got some great memories. He was a funny guy, you know, and people loved him. He was a very charming man. And people really, really liked him. And most of the time I liked him, but when he did stuff like that to hurt people, it was hard to like him. Like anything else, right? Oh, you guys know so much about me. But Mom came to Hawaii with me. And I'm telling you, we had so much fun. I got hit on by a sailor. Which was kind of funny, because, yeah, I was not that type of person. I had no clue. Very innocent. And my mom got hit on, for crying out loud. And they kept saying, "Oh, is this your sister?" Which, of course, annoyed an 18-year-old, but my mother loved it. Which I get, now that I'm older than she was at the time. So I get it. Very flattering. We went on this dinner cruise thing, and it was so much fun. We had a bus driver, and he was hilarious, and he took a shine to my mother, and yeah, she we ended up, my dad was one of these people that he would make you think that we had loads of money, which we didn't have any money, at least not a lot, but we were comfortable, you know, like he made he made a good living, but he always made people think that we were rolling in it. That was just Dad. And he had gone to one of those stupid timeshare things, right? And everybody's groaning. I can hear you groaning. Yeah, he got sucked in. Fortunately, the timeshare wouldn't let you purchase unless you viewed. And we were already going to Hawaii. So Dad's big idea was that, well, you guys are going to be there. So, because apparently you had to stay in the place first to check it out. And so I'd only saved enough money for a 2-week trip. And believe me, that took 2 years for me to save that money. So, you know, Dad's like, oh, well, you know, stay for a week at this place and let me know what you think. like we're ever going to get it. You know, this is what kills me. There's no way that we could afford a timeshare. But that was Dad. And so Mom and I stayed. And the thing is, if you stayed and then you didn't buy into it, then of course you had to pay for the week that you stayed. So Dad ended up having to pay for an extra week because there was no way we're paying for it. That wasn't our idea. So, yeah, anyway, he paid for a week of us staying in Hawaii for, you know, longer. But, whoopsies, a little glue there. That was fine. It was like an apartment is what it was. There was like a tennis court downstairs, and I don't remember where it was. I just remember it was down by the big mall there, Ala Moana Shopping Center. I'm pretty sure that's the area it was in. But like I say, I mean, we're going back. I was 18, so that's 40 years ago. And it was really nice. Like, you walked in, you felt like you were living there. Like, it was a nice apartment. Well, they had this mini bottle of champagne. It couldn't have been taller than that, right? It was really small. I'd never seen one that small before. And I mean, I drank, but I wasn't really a drinker. I liked the occasional glass of wine. I never drank beer, sometimes hard liquor, but I wasn't your typical teenager, let me tell you that. But I had to use the washroom because we had already stayed our 2 weeks we stayed in this real dive because that's all I could afford when we were there. The hotels, you know, it's all torn down now, but so we transferred over for our last week over to the apartment. And we walk in and this cute little bottle of champagne's there. And my mom didn't drink, like I said. She never drank. I go into the washroom. I come out. She drank the entire bottle before I had a chance. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, you don't even drink. She goes, well, I like that. It just made me laugh. I mean, I was kind of ticked off at the same time, but yeah, then Mom decided she liked champagne. That was my mother's drink. Of course, it was always the cheap stuff that we did end up drinking when we got home, but yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I have a really great memory of that. And we had gone again, her and I, because I really wanted to go again with my mom before, you know, anything happened. This was before she got dementia. She was still living here in BC. And we had gone in 2010. We went in. And, you know, we tried to do some of the things that we had done before. Like, we went on that dinner cruise again. Well, it all changed, and it was so hokey, and it was awful. But still, we had a good time. We were there. You know, so if you have the opportunity of doing something with a parent that's aging, yeah, I highly recommend it. You know, you just never know. And now I'll never get to do that again with her, even though she's still with us. It's just, you know, She doesn't even know my name. So, life is short, right? I think you got tons and tons of time, but you really don't. It's funny how you don't really think of your parents as aging. Like, I remember thinking to myself, I don't remember when I thought of my mother as elderly. Like, mom was always mom, right? Especially when you're still living at home, you don't think of them getting older. You just think your parents are always that age, right? At least I did. And then, you know, you get married or whatever, or move on with your life, and then one day you go and you visit them, and you realize, yeah, they got old. How did they get old? I'm missing a page here. Yeah, it just kind of happens, right? Okay, which one am I working on? I'm so confused. This is the one I'm working on. So this is the one that is set properly. So it should be, I've got my pages all mixed up. So I need to reorganize here. So we've got tea stain and a pattern. And then it should be a flap. That's what I'm doing wrong here. Where did I put it? Okay, that was the really thick one. Oh, it's right here. Duh. Or sometimes. Okay, so we got that. And then it should be tea stained. And okay, the rest is right, I think. Like I said before, I like having these in order, and then I get to see the weight, the thickness. Like this was actually at the front, and it became no, not this one. Yeah, this one. Became too thick, too heavy. So I put it closer to the center, because then it doesn't have as far to bend over, so you keep your spine flat. You start spreading, and then you're going to have a hard time sewing it in, and the pages won't lay nice, you know, when you go to turn them. Isn't this cute? I did a little paper clip. So this was the original one that I had done, but now I changed them. I like this one better because it's got more detail. See, in the, there's like ribbing and all that stuff. I like this one better. So, yeah. But these are still cute. And I just made it into a paper clip and put one of my, I have all these words already printed from my printer on tea stain card, lightweight cardstock, and then I just took a butterfly punch and punched it out around, you know, the word. Glued it on the finger because I thought that was kind of a cute idea. Anyway, what have I done here? How much time have I used up here? Have I been yakking? Almost an hour, you guys. I think that's enough. I know I ramble on and you're probably totally uninterested in what I've got to say. However, thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, I appreciate that very much. The next time you see this, it will be done. I'm not going to do another craft along with me. Yeah, so I'll be on to the next project, but I'll show you a flip through when I'm done. So thanks for all your comments. I truly appreciate them. I love reading them. And we'll talk real soon. Bye.